Finally, our third topic, where the Jacksonville Jaguars are. They make the move that everybody expected on Monday, finally walking away from Doug Peterson after 2 months of speculation that they were going to do it. And there had been some rumors over the last month that they were going to hang on to Trent Baalke. I think most football people thought there was no way it would actually happen. Well, here we are, and it's happened. They've moved on from Doug Peterson. They have Trent Baalke as their GM. And if you look at Trent Baalke's history, it precedes him. He initially became the 49ers GM in 2011 after his boss, Scott McCloughan, was fired less than a year earlier. He was put in on an interim basis. Eventually, they removed the interim tag. They pair him with Jim Harbaugh. That goes great on the field, but over time, those two wear on each other. There was feuding between the two of them, and you get to you get to the end of that, at the end of Harbaugh's time there in 2014. It's Jim Harbaugh getting the gate. Trent Baalke stays. He survives the firing of Harbaugh. His handpicked successor, Jim Tomsula, he winds up getting fired after 2015. Baalke survives that. So now he's survived the firings of Mike Singletary, Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Tomsula. Finally, a year after that, he and Chip Kelly are fired together. There was a thought that Baalke was toxic at that point among NFL people. Well, you hit the reset button again a few years later. He's brought into Jacksonville to be David Caldwell's number 2 in 2020. David Caldwell is fired 9 months after that. I believe it was somewhere around 9 months after that. They elevate Baalke on an interim basis to be the general manager. Then Doug Marrone gets fired. Baalke remains. They hire Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is really concerned with strength and conditioning and sports science and building a new facility and all of these different things. He's okay with keeping Baalke as general manager. A year after that, Urban Meyer is fired. Baalke remains. Doug Peterson comes in as the head coach after initially having concerns about Baalke. Those two are paired together. There's feuding at the end. There was division over the presence of offensive coordinator Press Taylor. There was Baalke strongly pushing change on the staff. Ultimately, it was not in a good place at the end. And now, what do you know? Baalke survives again. So the reason I took you through all of that is because if you want to know why a head coaching candidate, and there are, I can tell you on good authority, coaching candidates here who will not touch that job now if Baalke is to remain in it. If you're a coaching candidate, how do you look at that? If you don't have a personal relationship with Trent, are you going to trust that that's going to go the right way after so many of them didn't? Are you going to believe that it's going to work for you where it didn't for so many other people? Or are you going to look at it and say, no, I'm okay. I don't want that one. Now, it's 1 of 32. These jobs pay very well. They're destinations for people. Trevor Lawrence is there. There are things to sell about the Jacksonville job. But are you going to trust that this is going to work for you where it hasn't for so many other people? And I think that's something to consider if you're Jags owner Shad Khan, who ultimately is the one that makes these decisions. He hedged a little in his video conference with media yesterday in saying, and not 100% committing to Trent Baalke if a new coach were to come in and want that change as a condition of his employment. So I think it's certainly possible that Baalke may wind up being gone if Shad Khan finds a coach he wants and decides it's worth walking away from my general manager for it. But this is not a great place to be. So I'll be honest, I don't really understand the decision making here unless it's just to have Trent Baalke set up the search and then make a decision on his future in a few weeks when they pick a head coach. We'll see how all that plays out, but it could wind up costing them a shot at a guy like Ben Johnson, which I would have told you a couple of weeks ago, if this is a clean sweep, Johnson's best fit might have been in Jacksonville. So we'll see what happens. Again, we got a long ways to go with all this over the next few weeks.